So, how about we open with a joke today?
You know you're not the greatest joke teller, right?
I know. I'm going to give this a shot, though. All right. It's just a one-liner joke.
Oh,
It's a trucker joke.
Oh, boy.
I mean, what else would I say?
Oh, boy.
No, seriously. Now, if I mess it up...
Let's hear it.
So, with the rise of self-driving vehicles, it's only a matter of time before we get a country song where a guy's truck leaves him, too.
That was actually good.
Did I do good?
You did pretty good with it.
That was super awesome. All right. Let's get this thing started.
Okay.
All right. Today's podcast is brought to you by National Carriers in Dallas, Texas. They are looking for lease drivers, company drivers, student drivers, and team drivers. Call them at 888-311-7076 and get one of those beautiful KW T680s they have. Also, today we're being brought to you by Cocoon MDR. Right now it's on Android only, but it's soon coming to Macintosh, which is Apple phones. It's just an app that truckers download, and it follows you around and pays you right into your account. Just deposits money. The more you drive, the more you make. It's awesome. And we're also being brought to you by J.J. Keller, the trucker's best friend. J.J. Keller, call them at 888-601-2017 if you're looking to become a truck driver, if you're looking to have any of your paperwork organized. These people do everything in trucking. Call them 888-601-2017. Ruth Ann, I would call J.J. Keller because I would need them for real.
Yes, you would.
Yes. I mean, if I went ahead and wanted to get my DOT numbers, I would just, like somebody emailed or sent Talk CDL's Facebook page a message the other day. They said, hey, I'm really wanting to become an owner-operator. I'll pay somebody. I'm like, well, call J.J. Keller. That's what they do. So
Yeah.
Yeah. How many people are becoming owner-operators now? It's just,
a lot.
It's insane. Yeah. It's really going through the roof, which is cool because truck drivers are making good money. Mm-hmm. So anyways, moving on. What do you got for us today? Anything? Or do I have something? Okay,
well,
check this out. No,
I was looking at stuff, but I kind of closed them all out.
You know, we got a bunch of stuff to talk about. I've got a couple episodes coming up that are going to be super awesome, but today we're just kind of looking at the news a little bit. I actually came across a couple articles, and check this one out. Listen to this article.
Okay.
It's all trucking, of course. Man fired from Iowa trucking school for dreadlocks files civil rights complaint. So check this out. Now, I'll tell you why. I'm going to read it to you in a second. So you got a guy, he's living in Iowa. He works at a trucking school, and he had dreadlocks.
I still don't see what the issue would be yet.
Well, this is what their claim is. Their claim is he had to be able to wear a hard hat, right? And because his hard hat won't fit over his dreadlocks, they gave him the boot. I mean, it's kind of, you can look at both sides, but honestly and truly, go ahead.
But if he did you say he works at a trucking school?
Yeah, I don't know. Was he a teacher there or what?
But why do you wear a hard hat if you're teaching them to drive a truck? You don't wear hard hats in trucks. I mean,
honestly and truly, I don't know if in Iowa they wear hard hats or on the range. I have no idea. How about I just read this?
Okay.
And this came from KCRG. Check this out. I'm just going to read part of it. It just says, the man let go from the Iowa truck driving school for his hair is in the process of filing a lawsuit against the company. Damon Mitchell says he was dropped from a commercial driver's license program with TMC Transportation for his dreadlocks last month. The company told him that he wouldn't be able to wear a hard hat over his dreadlocks, which is required for the job. Iowa does not have any laws protecting employees from hair discrimination. It's kind of crazy. I mean, you could read the entire, I'm going to be linking it in the show notes and everything. People can read the whole article, but it's a little bit crazy. What are really your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, I can understand some of it, wearing the hard hat when going in certain areas and so forth. That's a safety precaution.
Yeah, but I've never seen anybody at a truck. Then again, today's
I didn't hear it say trucking school.
Well, that's what it is. It says it.
TMC's not a trucking school.
No, their trucking school. TMC's a trucking school they use. That's what it said. It said here. Let me go back to it. It said Damon Mitchell says he was dropped from a commercial driver's license program with TMC Transportation for his dreadlocks last month.
Because it's necessary for the driving. I don't see him working for the school. He went for...
You're saying he was there to get a CDL?
That's what it sounds like to me, is he went to TMC and was going through their program to get his CDL, and they said, sorry, we can't have you because you need to wear a hard hat while working with us.
Well, the title is Man Fired from Iowa Trucking School for Dreadlocks. So if he was fired, he was working there. I'm just saying.
I still don't. They're contradicting. To me, it sounds contradicting. TMC's regulations state that you have to be wearing a hard hat while an employee of their facility. Probably because of the fact that TMC's a lot of flatbeds, right?
Yeah, it says after the firing last month, he returned to Texas to get a lot of support from his friends and strangers who actually offered him all kind of jobs. So it sounds like he was actually working there. Now, whether he was working there or not, okay, in my book, here's the only way I think TMC or anybody at the school has a leg to stand on. If before he started, he signed anything saying he would be able to wear a hard hat and that he may have to cut his hair or something to that respect. I mean, other than that, I don't know that they have a leg to stand on. Except, on the other hand, it says there is no they don't have a law discriminating against to protect somebody from hair discrimination.
Right. I mean, I guess. I mean, I think that all in all, it's really not a really great situation when you think about it. But here's what I'm honestly thinking.
Go ahead.
Is that he was a driver that came up to go through schooling for them, and if that was the case. When he got there, they're like, well, dude, you can't wear the hard hat because of your hair. We can't hire you now. We're going to have to fire you because he already came there. But if he was already an employee there and he worked teaching, there's no way that they have, like you said, anything to stand on unless he signed some form of a waiver because he was an employee there and he was teaching there. And now all of a sudden he needs to wear the hard hat to be able to fully function on his job. That doesn't sound right. Do you know what I'm saying?
I would like to know a little more, like, how long was he there? Like, was he there? Did he just start and they told him you got to get you can't have the dreadlocks, or did they, or had he been there a long time and grew them or got his hair braided into them? I mean, isn't that dreadlocks? You get them braided that way or whatever it is.
Dreadlocks, they're not necessarily like a braid, but they're just, when we were down at the mall the other day and the guy had them down to his calf, those were dreadlocks.
Right.
It's like a braid, but it's not quite a braid. It's like some of them are, well, no, cornrows are twisted. It's a special way that they braid them.
Are they thicker?
Yeah, it's a lot of hair, yeah. They put like chunks of hair in it and they braid them down, but it's a specific way they do the braid.
So can you see a hard hat not being able to fit on that?
If he has a lot of hair, yeah. And some of them, they don't go down, they go kind of upward.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Oh, okay, so if it was maybe an upward.
Yeah, because some of them will do it where it's like kind of going up, where they'll put it up.
Okay.
And if that's the case, then it won't work.
It's just kind of crazy, you know what I mean? Just even to hear something like that, but... Go ahead.
Well, it says he went back to Texas.
Back to Texas.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's that country song you were just talking about. But if he went back to Texas, then why did he go all the way to Iowa to teach at a school?
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
So that's what I'm saying. It sounds really contradicting in the title versus what the rest of the article says. It sounds to me really that he was hired and, went up there, and after they got him up there, they look at him and they're like, he goes through half of the program, maybe the beginning part of it, and they realize, hey, you can't wear a hard hat because of your hair, which And
if anybody out there is listening, which we know quite a few people are from the numbers, I just want everybody to know that we're not on either side. I'm not on TMC side. I'm not on the guy's side. I'm just saying, like, we really stay neutral most of the time on a story like that. I'm just trying to report what I heard.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's right to one point on one side, and I don't think it's right on another point on another side. So I really,
I can actually see points on both sides.
Right.
I really can. I can see him saying, this is BS. Especially here, I'll say this: if he was there long enough to where all of a sudden now they're saying it, then I would say I would be more on his side.
Mm-hmm.
But if he signed papers or he was told in an interview before he got hired, or maybe like you pointed out, look, he's coming up to from Texas. He shows up there. They had never. Maybe they hired him. Maybe they hired him. You know what I mean?
Like most truck drivers,
like through Indeed or something, right? Like they hired him in that respect, in that way. And then when he got there, that's when they said, "Oh, yeah, you can't have the dreadlocks because of
it's a safety issue."
Here's the reasoning. Yeah. Here's the reason being. So, and because I looked on the blog on the one channel, and it was saying, lawyers help this guy out. He's got a good suit, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, he may not. If he showed up on day one and they're just telling him, listen, goes for everybody.
Right.
It doesn't matter who you are. Okay, you can be the president of the United States. If you can't wear a hard hat, you ain't coming in here to work. It may be a rule.
And it has to be a rule. If a hard hat is a necessity to work at their facility, then that's one of the rules. Is if you can't wear a hard hat, you can't be hired. Then there's nothing. He don't have anything to stand on. Just like some drivers, you go to some companies, you can't have facial hair, you can't have tattoos, you can't have piercings. Like they're really strict on it. And it's not them saying that they're biased or that they're what's the
discriminating.
Yeah, they're not discriminating against long hair or
yeah.
tattoos. I mean, just like the song says, that's just their requirements when working there. The same with wearing a certain specific clothing. That's what they want as an appearance that you just don't get hired from it. They can't hire someone from another state. If he sent a copy of his license to them, well, that picture might not show him with dreadlocks in it.
That's right.
So, and even if it did show him with braids in it, it doesn't show it quite the same. You wouldn't see it.
You just see a face
with some hair.
The hair may be
being braided, or it wouldn't show how thick the hair is. It doesn't show how thick or how long or any of that. It might be a while ago. Generally when someone has dreadlocks in, they're growing their hair a long time. They don't take them out.
I believe in when you haul like hazmat stuff, like with tankers and gases. Mm-hmm. You can't have like beard and mustaches because of the breathing apparatus you have to have on in certain cases. Mm-hmm. That's a requirement of the job. If you have that, you are going to be getting yourself killed because you don't have it protected correctly.
It's not sealing.
Right. So you had mentioned that TMC is flatbed. Mm-hmm. And you're right. If this school is just specifically training flatbed and heavy haul, stuff that's on the outside, high tarps, just all kinds of things.
Going and getting cranes, if they're going and taking in beams and these cranes are there.
Right.
You have to wear it if it's in a specific field.
That's a good point. So hard hat, steel toes. I mean, I would imagine there's a major safety outfit you have to wear for that job. So, I guess without all the full information, we can't make judgment on it. But
yeah, and some dreadlocks they're not really braids. They're just like tangled hair.
Yeah. Okay.
So it really depends on how they did them.
All right. Moving on from the dreads. Moving on. Check this out. This is a crazy story. Do you remember Roadrunner? Not the one. No, the Roadrunner. They're just a giant company. Huge.
Yes, I do remember them.
Well, they're still in business. But listen to this. Former Roadrunner exec facing decades in prison for fraud. Wow. How about that crap?
Repeat that again.
Former Roadrunner exec facing decades in prison for fraud.
Okay, I thought that's what you said.
I'm going to read some of this.
Okay.
Listen to this. This comes from actually Overdrive Online. So here's what it says. It says, former Roadrunner exec convicted in accounting fraud scheme. A federal jury on Monday convicted former Roadrunner Transportation CFO You know what the CFO is? Chief
Financial.
So this is like the bean counter, the big guy, one of the big guys. He's not the CEO, but he's the CFO. His name is Peter R. Armbruster. On 4 accounts of violating federal security laws in what the Department of Justice called a complex securities and accounting fraud scheme that resulted in a loss of more than $245 million in shareholder value.
Wow.
Here's the thing. It's when you get up on the rich side of the world, that's the sharks. When one shark takes from the pool of sharks, they eat him. And he is now going to be eaten. He's one of the sharks, and he went and stole from the bigger sharks. And when you start taking from the richer, that's the one thing you don't do. That's one way to hurt a rich man is hurt his money. And he did. All the shareholders. It says, Roadrunner, once one of the country's largest publicly traded trucking and logistics companies, acknowledged in January of 2018 that accounting discrepancies occurred between 2011 and 2016, and the company reissued financial statements for 2015 and 16. Roadrunner said then an internal investigation found the company overstated its net income by approximately $66.5 million. He said the company also overhauled its executive team after the discovery of the accounting discrepancies, including replacing Armbruster. He got booted, but he was the leader. Mm-hmm. It said following a 14-day trial, the Eastern District of Wisconsin convicted Armbruster on 1 count of securities fraud, 1 count of misleading Roadrunner's auditors, and 2 counts of falsifying Roadrunner's books and records. Armbruster awaits sentencing on October 29th. He faces a maximum prison sentence of 25 years for securities fraud, 20 years for misleading auditors, and 20 years for each books and record violation, according to the DOJ. So he actually faces up to 65 years, which of course he probably won't get that many. He'll probably get like 25 to 40 or something. It's some weird number.
Well, it'll also be in like a posh, like clubhouse type of prison. It's not going to be in an actual bad prison. He's going to be still using his...
Well, so you think he's going to a tennis club?
Yeah. No, it's just a club.
That is true. The rich man's prison. Wouldn't that be something if they actually... We were getting ready to take him to prison, and they took the wrong turn, and they put him in with like a mass murder or something.
I don't belong here. Get me out. Get me out.
No, they're just gonna go, oops. No, there was a story the other day I read where this guy. This is crazy, and it has nothing to do with trucking. It just kind of reminds me of this Armbruster going to prison. This guy was in prison for it was a pretty violent dude, like beating up a cop and resisting arrest, all kinds of stuff, right? Mm-hmm. His sister had been raped and molested as a minor by a 70-some-year-old man. True story. I actually read this. I read it in the news. Mm-hmm. Anyways, guess who actually ended up being his cellmate? The rapist that raped his sister. Exactly. Well, it didn't take him long before, the rapist started talking, and so he killed him in prison. A young guy, he's only in his 20s. He said, I couldn't take it. He said, here's the guy that raped my sister and molested her. And I read this story, and everybody on the blog was going, guy was doing what everybody else would have did. But they sentenced him to 25 years because he murdered. And you know who's in trouble more than anybody? The prison.
The prison. They put him.
Yeah. Hey,
we're going to put the dog and the cat together for once.
Exactly. That's exactly what it's like. It's like taking a dog and putting a cat in the cage with it. I mean a dog that hates cats, not one that's lovable.
Or it's like putting the rabbit with the greyhound.
Or it's like putting a mouse in with a cobra. You know what he's going to do. But the bottom line is, they're in a lot of trouble. Well, Armbruster, and it's a sad thing because you're right. And I didn't even think about this. That pisses me off. Here's a guy ripping off trucking. Everybody gets hurt when you rip off a trucking company that big. Mm-hmm. The drivers, because they had to sell a lot of stuff off. Everybody gets hurt. And here's a guy now going to go. You're right. He's probably going to go and be in prison where, he's got a full couch and a recliner in his cell, and maybe a masseuse.
He's still going to have a butler, and he's still going to have everything that he has normally.
Well,
he's going to go out. You know as well as I do, when we had the person that we know went to prison.
Yeah, but he was in a country club also.
Exactly.
You're talking about Johnny Acid.
And he even said it wasn't difficult, remember?
No, it wasn't.
So what do you think this CFO is going to end up getting?
But you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking even in maximum security prisons, some of those guys have butlers. You've seen Oz, right? So, it is what it is. A little prison joke. But no, but you know what I say? I say I'm going to applaud this guy. Good for you, Armbruster, because even though it's a country club prison, he's not going to be allowed to leave. The rules when you go to those country club prisons. If you leave and walk away, they have like roll call so many times a day. Uh-huh. If you miss it, you go to the medium or maximum security prison when they get you back in. So anyways, he's going to be trapped there for probably, I don't know how old the guy was, but he will be there for a long time. Moving on. Okay, now tragedy. I got this article where it says NTSB report says big rig failed to slow for traffic, triggering pileup crash that killed 10. This was in Alabama a couple months ago. And I guess the highway was wet. One article saying it was pretty slick. One article saying it was very light. Here's what it says. It says, this week, the National Transportation Safety Board released an initial report on a horrific pileup crash that left multiple children dead in Alabama, June 21. This was 2 months ago. Mm-hmm. Said the crash occurred on June 19th around 2:20 p.m. on the northbound side of I-65 near Greenville, Alabama. Says the crash ultimately involved 12 vehicles and left a total of 10 people dead, including 8 children. That's the worst part right there.
Yeah.
8 children traveling with the Tallapoosa County Girls Ranch, a group that assists needy, neglected, or abused children. A baby and a father in an SUV traveling in an SUV were also killed. 26 others were injured. Crazy. Mm-hmm. Listen to this. The NTSB report says that the crash began as a semi-truck hauling an empty auto trailer approached the bridge over Pigeon Creek near milepost 138, where traffic had come to a stop due to a previous crash, or previous crashes. So I guess the road was slick. It said authorities say that the semi struck an SUV, then hit a transit van with a driver and 9 passengers. After striking the van and other vehicles, the truck struck the left bridge rail and continued into the median beyond the north end of the bridge, coming to rest with a portion of its trailer in the roadway. It says the SUV overturned and struck several other vehicles in a traffic queue before coming to the rest on the roadway. A second semi came upon the stopped vehicles, veered left, struck and mounted the left bridge rail, struck the van, and came to rest in the medium. The van also came to the rest in the medium, facing south between the 2 semi-trucks. As a result of the multiple collisions, a fire ensued, consuming the semi-trucks, the van, and 3 other vehicles. So, really, the end result is they still haven't said whose fault it was or what fault it was. All you know is, it said in the reports it was raining all day, all week, but it was raining lightly when this accident happened. Whether it was raining or not, I'm not blaming the trucker. I'm not blaming anybody. Anything can happen in the blink of an eye. So I don't know. Well, the traffic was already stopped due to crashes, it says.
A CB would have helped.
Thank you. That's exact. I mean, we harp on the CB, but that is 100%. Let me just say this. I was talking to a driver the other day, a young guy. I mean, when I say young, he's like 20s. Really nice kid. And we were talking. And I asked him, I said, do you got a CB, brother? He said, there's one in the truck that he drives. The owner put one in it. He said, but he doesn't use it. He said the only time he uses it in the winter when it's snowing to get reports. He said, but the rest of the time there's too much chatter that he doesn't want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly and truly, I couldn't tell these guys. I could tell them every minute of the day just about. You just turn your squelch up to where you don't hear the chatter, and you'll hear within a mile. But most likely, again, you don't know, but I would imagine most likely there were trucks coming south on 65 warning drivers, hey, up ahead there is a bunch of stop traffic. There's accidents. Mm-hmm. Back it down, northbound. I mean, when I was a driver, that's what you hear. Back it down. Get out of the hammer lane. You know, I'm just saying, people think that we are going to be doing a podcast called The CB, the Dinosaur. Because everybody thinks it's a dinosaur.
It's not.
Not everybody. Truck drivers that use it don't. But, guys, I want to tell you. And you know what I liked about this show, Rutan, over the years? How many years we've been here? 4 or 5? 2015, 6 almost.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it was, we've already celebrated.
Over the years, I couldn't tell you how many people wrote in and said, hey, because of you guys, I got a CB. I got a CB. Maybe they got sick and tired of hearing me bitching. Or maybe they just started realizing people come close to, getting into accidents. But my gosh, that is like you said, I was about to say CB and you said if he would have a CB. I mean, that is a perfect example of if you had your CB, that is your tool.
Yeah, because you can have it where it's like you said, you turn it to where you only can hear really a mile or two. Give yourself, I would say 2 miles, only because, it takes a while for you to come to a stop. But if you have a fair enough warning, you can get off and exit before that. You can break it down. There's so much that you can do if you have enough warning, then keep going and have a tragedy happen.
I've met guys that say, Troy, I haven't used a CB for 20 years, and I've never been in an accident. But then again, that might be a guy that drives 5 miles under the speed limit, and he's the most cautious guy in the world, and he had a little bit of luck or a little bit of a blessing riding on his shoulders. But the bottom line is, most guys can testify to that CB saving them at least a handful of times in their trucking career. Mm-hmm. And I've talked to guys that have driven 20, 30 years, and every one of them have said, oh my gosh, that CB saved me so many times. If not from an accident, from maybe a giant backup. I couldn't tell you.
A delay, late loads.
Yeah.
There could be so many other things.
I couldn't tell you how many times on the snow. Again, I'm not trying to harp on this, but I couldn't tell you how many times 50 to 100 miles away going across, say, 70 or going across 80. Somebody said, hey, westbound, you got a real big parking lot ahead of you at the 150 or whatever, okay? And, the first thing I start doing is, hey, how do I get around that?
Right.
Hey, especially the locals. I mean, even though you got GPS and all, some of the locals that are like local truckers that have like dump boxes, those guys are on the CB too, and they will literally get on there and say, listen, get on this road, go up north about 5 miles, hang a left at this other road. It's all truck route. You can get around it. It'll take you 20 miles past the accident and drop you back down on 80. Literally, I couldn't tell you how many times that has saved me just from that alone. Mm-hmm. That's CB. It's an investment. And for anybody out there, and I'm going to tell you where most of these guys, see, people get their information from other people. You know that.
That's usually how it goes.
Well, people get their information from people that think they're smarter. See, the problem with the world is everybody thinks everybody's dumber than them, and they think they're smarter than everybody. And so you have a bunch of people out there that don't like the CB, okay, because they'd rather be on their cell phones, okay, talking to their wife or whatever they're doing. So they talk negative about it, so they feel better about themselves that they don't use a CB. So then you got a bunch of young guys or new guys in the industries going, yeah, that CB sucks because it's a dinosaur. That's from 30 years ago. And they hear it from the dumbass that thinks he's a smart ass. Mm-hmm. I'm not kidding you. That's exactly what that comes from. So you guys, if you guys don't like hearing me bitch about CBs, get yourself a CB. Turn your squelch up. You can literally, or you can turn the gain. You could turn the gain back and you turn your squelch up. And what that does is you're not going out too far and you're not hearing out too far.
Mm-hmm.
And so what happens is if somebody's chattering 10 miles down the road, and I agree, I hate to have my CB on where you can hear the cursing and the BS and all that crap going on. But if you just turn it up to where it's silent, turn your gain back and your squelch up, that means you'll have silence. But the guy a half a mile ahead of you, that's all you need is a half a mile to a mile warning for as far as emergency goes. That guy, you're going to get a warning from a lot of guys. Mm-hmm. I couldn't tell you, almost every accident, if you read the blogs, every accident out there where there's pileups and crashes like this, every one of them, there's a guy in the blog going, I was going the opposite way and I was yelling and I couldn't get anybody to respond. I kept saying, back it down, back it down, back it down. And guess what? Not every single one, because there's other guys using their CB going the other way, but the guys that are going down the road picking their nose, honestly, they're the ones that are messing up because of the dinosaur. Mm-hmm. The dinosaur. The CB's a dinosaur. So anyways, that's my story. I'm sticking to it.
I was waiting for you, sir.
No, but I'm serious. I didn't mean to make it about CBs, but it really, a lot of this stuff can go to the CB. The CB can be a solution for many things. Get a CB and I'll stop bitching at you. That's a deal. Yes, I will. For a minute, I will.
I'll find something else.
I will find something else, but I'll stop bitching about the CB. All right, Ruth Ann, that's my podcast for the day. What do you got for me? You got Word Genius?
I do.
Word Genius. Check out Word Genius, everybody. They're not a sponsor. We just use them and we love them because they make Ruth Ann smarter. I've been trying to make Ruth Ann smarter for a long time, but Word Genius came along and started making her intelligent.
There's also another one that I started getting out of the blue. No idea why.
Which one?
It's called Word Thirst. It just started coming in my emails. Like,
what do they do?
They have right now. It just so far all they've done is they sent me a thing that says which word best matches this example sentence, and then they give you like 4 words that you're supposed to throw into that the sentence.
Cool.
So that's something new, and then they also give me a word. So it's like, I don't know why. I have no idea. It just started coming into my email.
Yeah, if you're a trucker that likes increasing in knowledge, check these things out. Ruth Ann, what's the word of the day?
Cultivar.
Cultivar?
Mm-hmm.
Cultivar.
Is it a C or a K?
Cultivar.
Cultivar. Mm-hmm. Use it in a sentence first.
The rose garden was organized by sections of different cultivars.
Okay.
Most houseplants are cultivars of hardier outdoor species.
Now give us the definition.
The definition is a plant variety that has been produced in cultivation by selective breeding. Cultivars are usually designated in the style Taxus baccata variegata.
Okay. We all understood that.
Basically, greenhouse plants kind of thing, where they create.
That's what I thought. It was almost like they're grafting and creating things. That's pretty cool. Awesome. Do we have anything else in trucking today? You know what? I'm hoping that like a new Peterbilt or a new Kenworth is going to come out soon. Something really badass that we can talk about. Did you like my autonomous joke?
Yes.
Yeah, that was good, huh? You thought I was going to mess that joke up.
I did.
All right.
I did.
Let's get out of here.
Peace.
Peace. Praise the Lord.